I am so excited today. I know I always say that, but I really am today because I have with me one of my best friends I've ever had in my whole life. And she and her husband are some of Jose and my best friends ever. And soon they're moving away. They're moving from Miami to South Carolina, but we're still, you know how we go to New York, we'll still be able to see them on our journeys. Anyway, but Maria, I've known Maria, this is Maria, and I've known Maria since 1986. Since 1986. Jose has known Maria since like 1982 or something like that.
Since I was 19.
Yeah. So whatever year that was. And
31 years ago.
Wow. So you're like me, you don't mind. You don't mind. I'm proud of every moment I've been alive.
That's right. Yeah. Definitely.
So anyway, so Maria and she even came to our wedding.
Yes.
She even came to our wedding. She was married when I first met her, but Jose, in her first marriage, because I don't know if we're going to get into that a little bit, but Jose was the best man at her first marriage.
Yes.
So anyway, we have a big history, but Maria, from the time she was born into a very, very hard, difficult circumstances, and she has, I mean, her life is like a movie. So I want to give her, this might go into two parts because I don't know how long it's going to be, but Jose, let us know when the 15 minutes is up or whatever. Okay? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I don't want to waste any more time. I want Maria to get right into it. So would you just tell us your story?
Yes, and I want to start by saying, first of all, I want to thank you, Mary. I was thinking about you this afternoon, how you asked me to come and share, and how to me this is such a special opportunity because I know in my heart what this has been in your life. Just this whole channel, just sharing your life and sharing your encounters with all of your friends. And so I'm so excited to be a part of it and to be a part of sharing my story with your friends, and hopefully I'll get to know some of your friends in the future also.
That would be amazing. So maybe one day you can go with us to a VidCon or something.
That would be awesome. I would love it. I would love it. I really would. And so I just want to say hello to everybody, and I want to tell you how awesome Mary is. She is one of the most beautiful, amazing, incredible people I've ever met in my life. She is one of my dearest friends. And she has such an incredible heart. And to start out, we weren't always like this. I felt today, I was supposed to share just a little clip, is that years ago, we had this major traumatic
We couldn't stand each other.
Yeah, we started to like, just didn't even want to be in the same room with each other about, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. And what's incredible is that when you work through relationships and you really allow God to just do an amazing just breakthrough, which is what happened, and be humble and transparent, that God can turn around even the most horrific situation, and we have become so close and so intimate and so like real with one another that we would die for one another, and I believe that. So, you know, I just encourage you, if you're going through a hard time with any friends right now, that you just want to just like slice them up into pieces, whatever, you know, that just give it to God and really allow Him to do a miracle. So I'm going to start. My name is Maria Valentina. My parents...
Wait, I got to stop here. Okay. If you notice, okay, I always tell her this, you know how I'm into how looks and stuff, and how looks, you know, people look alike and stuff. Well, anyway, can I pull your hair up? Okay, her head is shaped in a heart, and her middle name is Valentina, and she was born on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, and she has one of the biggest hearts of anybody that I know, so I just had to say that.
Thank you. Well, you know, it's interesting because I was thinking today about coming and sharing with everyone, and I was thinking how my parents, you know, they had me out of wedlock. You know, it was like one of those wild nights, and I was conceived. But even at the moment of, you know, my birth, they named me Maria Valentina. Valentina because I was born on Valentine's Day, and my father has always said that I was like the baby of love, you know. And so, you know, I look at that and I really feel like every day, like, and it is ironic, and my son laughs at me, but I always see the number 214 almost every single day.
That's
it comes
weird.
up.
I didn't know that
like
part.
all the time. And I joke with my son, and I tell him, he's 18, and I tell him, I go, Jordan, look, 214. So the other day he's driving down from university, and he sees on his odometer 214. He sees on his how many miles per gallon he's using, 214, and something else. Oh yeah, 2 hours and 14 minutes left to drive here. And he goes, look, Mom, for you.
That's amazing.
And so I always look at that as like God reminding me that he made me for love.
This is
He
true.
made me on, you know, the day of love that's known around the world. And so I really take it seriously, and I think it's very special. And so, as I was saying, my parents had me out of wedlock. So my mother was already a widow with 2 children, and it was a really hard time for her. She was young. She was only 20 years old when I was born. My dad was 17 when he got her pregnant, and he was 18 when I was born. So my grandparents told him, listen, if you marry that woman, then, you know, we'll disown you. So I was put immediately into foster care, and I never went home with my mother. And my mother said that the first...
Wait, can I just, I'm sorry, I
Sure.
gotta say something that's on my mind. You know, I heard a study that when people are, oh, no, that's when they're not touched, but probably the foster mother touched you.
Well, she did, I guess, to change my diaper.
Because I was gonna say, when people aren't touched, that they become, you know, very
Right.
it's hard for them to have emotions and stuff, but you're the opposite, so.
Yeah, well, what this lady, my mother said that what she would do is she didn't know anything about babies, so she'd just feed me all the time. So when they finally got me, I don't know how old I was, my mother doesn't remember, from the foster home, I was like a little turkey.
A sumo wrestler.
Yeah, a sumo wrestle. That's perfect, okay? And there is some pictures of me, and you can barely see my eyes. I was so chunky, you know? So, I mean, even to this day, like, I know I'll have this thing where I just want to go to food for comfort because, you know, it's just even from being a baby. But moving forward, what happened is that as time went, you know, my parents did eventually get together. My dad left the house. He took, you know, he married my mother. He brought in my 2 brothers as his sons and myself. We lived together for a couple of years. And then they decided to move to Vegas. So they left my brothers. My brothers were adopted by my wonderful grandmother, which is their father's mother. My mother's first husband died of leukemia shortly after she was married. She was 15 when she got pregnant for my oldest brother. So my mother had a really hard life.
Yeah.
You know, she had been, you know, molested as a child, raped. She had very traumatic things happen to her. And my mother, I always say to her that she has one of the most beautiful, biggest hearts that of anyone I know.
She does. I've met her.
She's so special. She's
Hi,
wonderful.
Eileen. I know you watch. Love you.
Yes, and so, you know, the beginning of their relationship was really rough. And so they moved to Las Vegas eventually. And when they got to Vegas, they really got into some, you know, wild scenes. And in Vegas at that time, there was like a lot of, you know, just some heavy sex parties and all kinds of things that really today you don't hear about as much in the way it was back then, but it was pretty common back in Vegas. And so my mother started to change, my dad started to change. Even when you look at the progression of pictures, you can see they looked like just like they were from like a little town, even though they were from Montreal. And then all of a sudden they just got, you know, their dad with the long sideburns, my mom with, you know, just more sexy looking, you know. It just was a transition that started to take place in their lives. And it was just the culture and just the atmosphere of Las Vegas. And so they didn't end up staying together long. They were together for about, I guess, 1.5 years in Las Vegas, and then just life and circumstances started to pull them apart, just from all of the sexual things that were going on around them, and the lust and the perversion and the things that transpire in a place like Las Vegas. my mother met my stepfather, who they never got married, and I always refer to him as my evil stepfather. He was very, very double-sided. You know, he could be like super charming, super sweet, super debonair on one side in front of people, and then behind closed doors he was like a wicked monster, you know, and he was just very evil. And so growing up, we lived with him from the age of 5 till I was 11. In the first few years, I don't remember a lot. I do remember like different things, bits and pieces, but what really started to take place is over the years, he started to push my mother out to where she was forced to go out as what they call a high-class call girl. Now what that means in Las Vegas is that you're wearing very beautiful, elegant dresses, $1,000 gowns back in the early 70s. Wow. So quite expensive, and you're going out with some extremely rich gentlemen that many times just want a companion to just be with in the casinos. So they're gambling, they want a beautiful young woman next to them. What had happened is shortly before she got together with Frank, my father had encouraged her to get implants. So she, you know, she was just really starting to be transformed into this different woman that really wasn't her. And I don't believe it really was ever part of what she desired, but it was just because of the influence from the men that were in her life. And so what took place is, as a little girl, I really didn't understand. I would see my mother less and less over the years. And when I would see her, we would not be able to spend time together.
Because of Frank.
Because of Frank. And so what started to take place is that he started to control every day of our lives. So I would go to school in the morning, but if she had to go out with one of her companions, he would come and take me out of school, and I became his hostage. And I had to be with Frank all the time, every single day. I mean, I can remember probably from the age of 8 on, I really didn't have a life. I wasn't allowed to go out with friends. I wasn't allowed to go out and do things that children do. I wasn't allowed to go and ride a bike or go to the playground or do any of those things. And I was really tall. So everywhere I was with children, I always was looked at as very awkward, and kids would call me the Jolly Green Giant, and they would make fun of me.
I'm sorry. It's terrible.
Yeah, in 3rd grade, I was 5'2". Okay, so how tall are you, Mary?
5'2".
Okay, so I'm 5'9" now. In 3rd grade, I was already your height. I was a giant.
It's when you are not trying to laugh and you...
No, it's okay. I'm not, believe me, I'm way like over that.
1 minute?
Yeah.
We're gonna do this in parts.
Okay.
So would this be a good place to cut it for the next thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Equal.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So we're gonna cut it now to go into the next one, right? Okay. Bye. Okay, Leslie, you can turn it off.